Gemar Hatima Tova. Welcome everyone to our Kol Nidre service. Especially welcome to those who are viewing through our streaming service. We're happy to have you join us. Thank you to Phil Carey and David Youngman for providing the service. Please check and make sure that your phones and any other electronic devices are turned off so as not to disturb the sanctity of our service. And also be warned, if it goes off and it's got a good melody, the rabbi's going to start dancing to it. So please make sure you turn it off.
Spare us.
I was supposed to say on the Bima tonight are members of our executive board. Apparently they didn't get the memo that I did bathe today. So I would like to ask all the members of our TBO board to stand and be recognized. And I forgot my list. Which I don't have. Okay, so let me acknowledge them. First Vice President Religion, Harry Jacobs. Second Vice President Membership, Flo Bornstein. Third Vice President Education, Jody Green and Dana Porter. ICR Social Action, Sharon Kravitz. I know your name, honestly. House Committee, God bless her, Sherry Held. Adult Education, Joyce Kessler and Victoria Jacobs. Recording Secretary, who does a wonderful job, Brad Kramer. Donna Hess is our treasurer, Scott Swern, financial secretary, and head of our ad hoc committee for security and safety, Doug Kotkin. Right now it's an ad hoc committee until we pass some new bylaws, and then it will be an official committee. There'll be more about that later. Thank you all for the time and effort you put forth to ensure our temple runs as smoothly as it does, and we continue as well to have the fine services, programs, and religious school that we do. Every one of these people volunteers their time and services for us, and for that I'm grateful. They make my job as president so much easier. I want to add a little about our newly formed Safety and Security Committee. This is still a work in progress as we move along to determine what is working and what we still need to do. I do wish to point out all the emergency exits behind the organ there, the two doors that go out onto Santa Gertrudis, and if need be, the door through the kitchen and the door in the back through the storage room that goes out to the parking lot. Also, please note that we have fire extinguishers in all four corners of the sanctuary, as well as in the social hall and in the classrooms. Hopefully, we're never going to need this information, but we need to be prepared just in case we do. We will be having training over the next year for safety matters and CPR for any emergencies. This is good for not just here. We all need that. We all need to have situational awareness. Pay attention to where you are and what's going around and who's around you, no matter where you are. There are so many people to thank for ensuring our services run as smoothly as they do. First and foremost, Rabbi Goldfarb, whose sermons are so inspiring. Of course, cantorial soloist Ariel Goldfarb, whose beautiful voice adds so much to our worship. Our accompanist, Dr. Ray Irwin, who also arranged many of the musical selections and the beautiful voices of our choir. Thank you for returning this year to Susan Montgomery, Chris Campbell, Stan DeWitt, and especially our own Deneen Dyson, without whom we would not be nearly as organized. She makes sure we have all the flyers and the inserts in our handouts, which contain so much information regarding our upcoming events, as well as indicating those generous members who have contributed to providing the beautiful flowers on the bima for all the services, as well as the refreshments for the Rosh Hashanah Oneg and the Yom Kippur break the fast. So a lot of people read your inserts, so we're grateful to all of them for their support. Thank you and welcome as well to our cellist, Diana Parmentier, who is sponsored by Sandra Pascas. Thank you to the Religious Committee Chair, Harry Jacobs, and Membership Chair, Flo Bornstein, and their committees for ensuring all the behind-the-scene details are in place for our services. Thank you as well to Brotherhood for providing ushers under the capable eye of Chris Jastrock for probably the 40th year. Also to our in-house security team, Thank you all. And of course, thank you to our shofar blowers, Ellie Ursus, Eddie Goldstein, Matthew Hom, and Toby Porter. Great job, all of you. Thank you. A few reminders. If you're parked across the street at the church, please be sure to use the crosswalk when you cross Rosecrans. Please be sure you have your tickets in hand if for any reason you need to exit the temple and return. Also, we are once again having our food drive. Although we collect food over the year, which goes to the Interfaith Food Center in Santa Fe Springs, this time of year is our big push to collect and distribute non-perishable goods to them. We will still be collecting the goods through Sukkot, so if you have not brought any now, you can always bring them up until Sukkot. Lastly, we set a goal of $36,000 for our appeal this year. To date, we're just slightly over halfway there. Please exercise tzedakah, righteous giving, and help our congregation endure. Thank you all. Chris and I are proud to be members of this warm and welcoming congregation. Now I would like to invite up Eddie Goldstein.
A rabbi looked at his congregation and told them, I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is we have enough money to meet our high holiday pledge. The bad news is it's still out there in your pockets. Okay, let's get serious for 6 minutes and 20 seconds. What price can we put on having Temple Beth Ohr in our lives? There isn't an answer to the question, because it is priceless. My family joined Temple Beth Ohr 29 years ago when our first son Alex was ready to begin Jewish kindergarten with the great Linda Sealander. My wife and I were greeted by membership chairperson at that time, the late and great Harriet Rockoff, who with her warm smile made us feel right at home here. As parents of young Jewish children, we knew how important it was for them to begin a formal Jewish education. The boys were starting to ask simple questions about what it means to be Jewish. At first, they were under the impression that everybody was Jewish. Family gatherings and traditions provided the introduction, and as the world began to expand beyond family, they would ask if their playmates, classmates, and teachers were also Jewish. Enter Mrs. Sealander, Temple Beth Ohr's beloved kindergarten teacher, to help them learn. Aaron soon followed 4 years later, and both the boys traveled through the era of Abel, Horowitz, White, Mr. Zucker, culminating with the confirmation class with Rabbi Goldmark. You know, Stan and I live in a community in Shadow Park, Cerritos. There are 392 single-family homes, of which 2/3 of the Jewish families belong to Temple Beth Ohr. Of course, there are only 3 families who are Jewish in Shadow Park. One is the Lakins, the Goldsteins, and the other person, they don't believe in Judaism, I guess. I don't know. That sounds like a big number, doesn't it? But 2/3 of 3 is not that big. You know, speaking of, so basically our kids had new Jewish kids to play with next door, on the street, down at the private park that we have. Nobody. As an adult, our son Alex, former shofar blower here, has done extensive traveling for his job and has recloaded several times. He now lives in the suburbs of Sacramento. Although he has not been able to attend in person with us most years as he did when he was growing up, he has attended parts of our high holiday services thanks to the internet and especially Phil Carey for orchestrating the streaming services. When our youngest son became ill and had his first Crohn's attack at 13, it was his Jewish friends here at Temple Beth Ohr who called him every Sunday for 3 months from the rabbi's office. And the kids lined up every Sunday, one by one, to talk to him on the phone and let him know they were thinking of him. That meant the world to Aaron at the time, and Slay and I were so grateful. This is what TBO is all about. While he was recovering from that illness, his school friends, they shunned him when he returned to school. Why? Because they were all puffy and swollen from all the steroids he had to take to overcome this disease. But the Temple kids here didn't care. They were just thrilled to have him back and to know he was back in class and getting better. I'd like to take a moment now and talk about our Havarah that we formed here 19 years ago. Our 5 families are still together and have grown so close that we no longer think of ourselves as a Havarah, but rather true parts of our family. And we also have Temple Beth Ohr to thank for that. This past September 17th, I lost my sister, and her passing was a big loss for me. She was a big influence on my life because being 15 years older than me, she was the one that basically raised me when my mother became ill and helped me. It was Rabbi Mark who was the first one to call that morning, and afterwards many temple friends called as well. And I found it very comforting to hear their voices and let them know I had them behind me during a difficult time. So again, I asked myself, what price can we put on having Temple Beth Ohr in our lives? But I think we can agree, it is really priceless. And it is our duty and obligation. It's a mitzvah to see that future generations benefit in the same manner that our sons, daughters, and grandchildren have, filled with prayer, togetherness, support, and caring for one another. This is what Temple Beth Ohr is all about. Your temple family, all that comes with it. It means you are not alone in your struggles, your joys, and everything else. We were once the younger family members here with children to raise, who had great role models to look up to here at our congregation. So many have gone, but it was they whose shoulders we stood on then, and those that came before them, the founders of Temple Beth Ohr. We know how proud they were of what Temple meant to the community and how it continues to serve the community of La Mirada and the surrounding areas. But that vitality always needs your help, so more so now than ever. Let's take a look at reality. Me personally and my wife, our home electric rates are up 28%. Water and trash up 32%. My Blue Shield companion policy went from $230 to $386 the past year. Gas prices are near all-time highs. A Toyota Prius that I got for a friend in 2015 was $14,000. Same car now is $26,000. Auto insurance way up. Homeowners insurance way up. Yet TBO dues have only increased $6 the past 2 years. Basic math and economics tells us that this cannot last. We won't last without your help today. I'm asking you here to please make a generous high holiday donation to ensure our existence in the face of all of these things that I've spoken about. Fulfill an obligation in keeping the important work, support, and services available to all people wanting and needing what this congregation has to offer. You all have your own personal reasons why you continue to attend services. And you have your own personal stories of how temple life has enriched and benefited your own lives. Show your gratitude by paying it forward. Help us reach our goal, and let's continue to be the shoulders the next generation will stand on. Good Yontif to you all.
Wow, Eddie, thank you so much for speaking so passionately and humorously as well about the importance of Temple Beth Ohr. Thank you very, very much. Good Yontiv, everyone. Welcome to our Yom Kippur Kol Nidre worship service. During the course of this evening, we will share together in words, prayers, and melodies. Most importantly, we will engage in the Jewish not only mitzvah, but value of teshuvah. Teshuvah is like a muscle. You got to use it more than just once a year. If you find tonight to be hard, a little challenging, then maybe you need to use your teshuvah muscle during the year a little bit more. Teshuvah is about turning. It's about making a change. It's about growing. It's about becoming more than what we were. And as human beings, that is not only our God-given right, but that is our obligation. We must always strive to be more than what we were the year before. Each year we learn new lessons. May this evening and this Yamim Noraim period hold lessons for us that we are able to engage, lessons that we are able to inspire us to be more. Most importantly, may we find through community that connection to that which brings us together as Jews and as members of Jewish families: community, God, and tradition. I also wish to acknowledge our board members Leslie Berger, as well as Susan Carey, who heads up our publicity and beacon stuff, and David Youngman, our past president of our congregation. I invite us to turn to page 7 in our Machzorim, as I invite Deborah Goldfarb to lead us in readings and blessings over our Yom Kippur candles.
Yom Kippur is a scandalous day for those of us who live in the modern world. It conjures up the prospect of death, still a great taboo in our society. It enjoins healthy and vigorous people to step off their treadmills for a moment and listen to the fragile beating of their own hearts. Many of us, regardless of denomination or stated belief, find the challenge and scandal of Yom Kippur too difficult to bear. As a consequence, invective techniques are developed that help keep its subversive message at bay. We busy ourselves with the business of fasting, or revel in the rebellion of eating as normal. We obsess on the seating arrangements or the heating arrangements. Some have other more subtle methods. They allow the nostalgia of tunes and prayers to mask the uncomfortable implications of the day. When it comes to the Day of Atonement, there are no experts and no masters. Each person is exposed as mortal. Those of us who like to think of themselves as significant may be particularly offended by the very thought. My own personal version of preparation for Yom Kippur always begins with a sense of how absurd and limited I am, and how grand I pretend to be. I try to bring to mind the inadequacies and the errors, the times when I was angry instead of smart, and when I was clever instead of genuine. Whoever is too self-impressed to come to terms with these truths might just as well skip straight forward to Sukkot. Yom Kippur will pass them by. However macabre it sounds, Yom Kippur is meant to be a near-death experience. Confronted with the scandal of my own inevitable demise, this year or next, or in 70 years' time, I need to acknowledge my weaknesses and vulnerabilities. Rabbi Michael Marmer. We continue on page 9. The human spirit is the lamp of God, searching out what lies within us. Guided by the flame of conscience, on this sacred night, we search for truth. Shine your light upon us as we strive to serve you. May we find safety in your faithful love. We light the flame of healing and forgiveness. On this atonement night, we give thanks for love. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Yom HaKippurim. Source of blessing, eternal our God, you fill the universe with majestic might, teaching us holiness through sacred obligations, giving us the mitzvah of bringing light on Yom Kippur.
Shel Yom HaKippurim.
We gather together on this Yom Kippur, a year since our last Yom Kippur. During that time, we faced a number of obstacles, a number of challenges on our road to life, and yet here we are. Many of us returning again, some of us acknowledging there are those who are no longer with us. And yet we are grateful. Grateful for the opportunity to come to this sacred place. Grateful for our tradition, which engages us and challenges us. And grateful for this opportunity. We share our words, our shehechianu, our prayer of gratitude to God for giving us life, sustaining us, and enabling us to gather here on this day. Our service continues on page 14. I invite to join me here on the bima with Dina Jastrock, our temple president, our past president, David Youngman, and our past president and Brotherhood co-president, David Sane. We read responsively. On Yom Kippur, the Jewish people's festival of the soul, and Kol Nidre, its sacred portal, a night of deep emotions, a night, as the psalmist wrote, to rejoice with trembling. We tremble at the melody. Music of spiritual amazement, it fills us with awe as we stand before God and Torah. We rejoice that we stand together, strengthened by unity, because of our shared weakness and humility. We tremble, for tonight we confess our flaws, we admit our imperfection, and acknowledge a power far beyond our understanding. We tremble, for we find that our ideals are far greater than our ability. Our promises often surpass our might. We rejoice in the freedom that is only grace to give, the freedom to begin a new year without fear of failure, to aspire to God's image in the world. We tremble because we are mortal. We rejoice in our gratitude for life. Kol Nidre, a chant that begins in a whisper and rises to a cry. On this night of promises, remember, each soul in solitude communes with the soul of the universe. God, from this day of atonement to the next, may we reach it in peace. All Israel makes these vows to turn from wrong, dishonesty, and greed, to walk in the path of justice and right. Yet we know our weaknesses, how prone we are to fail. Help us to keep our word. Help us to act with humility and integrity. We seek pardon and forgiveness. We seek your radiance and your light. Service continues on page 19, as I invite us to rise as we are able. Let our speech be pure and our promises sincere. Let our spoken words, every vow and every oath be honest and well-intentioned. Let our words cause no pain or bring no harm, and never lead to shame, distrust, or fear. And if, after honest effort, we are unable to fill a promise, a vow, or an oath, may we be released from its obligation and forgiven for our failure. Let our speech be pure and our promises sincere. We may be seated. Our service continues on page 21. My neighbor's roses are blooming. Their perfume spills past me and into the street. The world gives us so much without being asked. But again and again we break our promises to it. We breathe, eat, sleep away the glittering nights, spend the tapestried days. These broken promises, let them be forgotten. Our sworn oaths unanswered, they drop noiseless on the earth. And so let them become earth. And God responded, I forgive as you have asked. We continue on page 22. I invite us to rise as we are able for our Baruch Hu, our call to worship. We may be seated as our service continues on page 24.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidbaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chachma poteach sha'arim, usvuna mishenei itim, umchalif et hazmanim, umsadeh et hakochavim, b'mishrotehem et rorikia kirtsono, borei yom loila, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, arvir yom, mevi loila, avdil bein loila, Adonai tzva'o shemo, el chai v'kayom, Tamid Yimloch Olenu Leolam Voed. Baruch Atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. We continue on page 27. We pause in reverence before the gift of self. The vessel shatters, the divine spark shines through. And our solidarity self becomes a link in Israel's golden chain. For what we are by sharing, and as we share, we move forward toward the light. We pause in reverence before the mystery of a presence, the near and far reality of God. Not union, but communion is our aim. And we approach the mystery with deeds, words leads us to the edge of action. But it's deeds that bring us closer to the God of light. We pause in terror before the human need, the cloud of annihilation, the concentrations for death, the cruelty, casual way of each to each. But in the stillness of this hour, we find our way from darkness into light. May we find our life so precious that we cannot but share with the other. That light may shine brighter than 1,000 suns with the presence of God of light.
We may be seated. As our service continues on page 30. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Our service continues on page 39.
Our sages taught it is proper to mention the Exodus from Egypt in our morning prayers and also at night. We celebrate the going out from Egypt in the morning light, full of confidence and vigor as we enter the new day. But in the evening, weary from the day's exertions, cast down and fearful at the coming of the night, what can the Exodus teach us then? Our nighttime prayer brings hope and trust in the future, as God did not abandon our people long ago through the long, dark night of exile. So the Holy One will be with us in time to come, to stand by the one you love. That is the true essence of faithfulness, the meaning of Emunah. So it is written in the Psalms, to proclaim your kindness in the morning and your faithfulness in the nights. Sing with joy in the mornings of your life, when light surrounds you and the world seems beautiful and good, and in the evenings of your life, when you dwell in sorrow and the world seems dark. Do not despair. As it is written, Adonai will save Jacob and redeem him from one stronger than himself. Baruch atah Adonai, Gaal Yisrael. Blessed are you in our lives, Eternal One, who redeemed Israel. We continue on page 42. Bless our sleep with peace, Adonai, and awaken us to life when we rise. With power sublime, spread over us your shelter of shalom, and through your wisdom restore us. Make us whole. Let your name proclaim your presence in our lives. Be our shield. Make us stronger than the enemies we face, illness and war, famine and sorrow, and stronger than the enemies in our hearts, wickedness and sin. Carry us to the safety as on wings, for you are the monarch of grace, the sovereign of compassion. You are the one who cares for us and sets us free. Watch over us, we who go forth to life. Watch over us, that we may come home in peace, now until the end of time. Baruch atah Adonai haparei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Blessed One, you spread over us a canopy of peace, a shelter of shalom over all Israel, your people, and over Jerusalem.
Our service continues on page 45. Ki vayom hazeh yachaper alechem letaher etchem. For on this day atonement shall be made for you, to purify you from all your wrongs, and pure you shall be in the presence of Adonai.
Gadol v'it kadash Shemei Rabbah. Amen. Ve'alamad yivrach yirutei ve'amlich malchutei v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael
Service continues on page 46, the words of our tefillah. I invite us to rise as we are able.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanorah El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim Vekonei Hakol Vezocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה.
Our service continues on page 50 as we read together in the English. Your life-giving power is forever, Adonai, with us in life and in death. You liberate and save, cause dew to descend, and with mercy abundant, lovingly nurture all life. From life to death, you are the force that flows without end. You support the falling, heal the sick, free the imprisoned and confined. You are faithful even to those who rest in the dust. Power beyond power, from whom salvation springs. Sovereign over life and death, who is like you? Merciful God, who compares with you? With tender compassion, you remember all creatures for life. Faithful and true, worthy of our trust, you sustain our immortal yearnings. In you we place our undying hopes. Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hakol, wellspring of blessing, power eternal, you are the one who gives and renews all life. We continue on page 53. Atah kadosh, v'shimcha kadosh, ukadoshim b'chol yom yehalalucha sela. You are holy, your name is holy. Seekers of holiness praise you day by day, Selah. We may be seated.
Netzach
service continues on page 60. Page 60.
You choose us with love to be messengers of mitzvot, and through us you made known your aspirations. Among all the many peoples, you gave us a pathway to holiness. Among all the great nations, you uplifted us and made yourself our sovereign. And so we seek you and serve you and celebrate our nearness to your presence. Your great and sacred name has become our calling. We continue on page 62. In your love, eternal God, you have given us this Yom Kippur, a day on which our wrongs are forgiven with love, a day of sacred assembly, a day to be mindful of our people's going out from Egypt. Our God and God of generations before us, may a memory of us ascend and come before you. May it be heard and seen by you, winning your favor and reaching your awareness together with the memory of our ancestors, the memory of your sacred city, Jerusalem, and the memory of your people, the family of Israel. May we be remembered for safety, well-being, and favor, for love and compassion, for life and for peace, on this day of atonement. We continue on page 64. Eternal our God, remember us. Amen. Be mindful of us. Amen. And redeem us for a life of goodness and blessing. Amen. Favor us with words of deliverance and mercy. Show us the depth of your care. God, we await your redemption, for you reign with peace and compassion.
Our service continues on page 66.
Our God and God of our forefathers, pardon our failings on this day of atonement. Erase our misdeeds, see beyond our defiance. For Isaiah said in your name, it is I alone who wipe away your defiant acts. It is my essence. I shall pay no heed to your errors. And the prophet said, as a cloud fades away, as mist dissolves in the air, so your wrongs and your mistakes shall be gone. I will wipe them away. Come back to me, that I may redeem you. And you said to Moses, for on this day atonement shall be made for you, to purify you from all your wrongs. And pure shall you be in the presence of Adonai. We continue on page 68. God who is ours, and God of our fathers and mothers, lead us to holiness through your mitzvot. And may each of us find a portion of Torah that is ours. You bestow such goodness. Teach us to be satisfied, to know the joy of your salvation. We continue on page 70. Help us to serve you truly with purity of heart, for you are the forgiver of Israel, and in every generation granting pardon to the tribes of Yeshurim. We have no God of forgiveness but pardon, but you alone. You are blessed, Adonai, sovereign who forgives our failings and pardons the failings of your people, the house of Israel. You banish our guilt from year to year. You reign in majesty over all the earth. You sanctified the people of Israel and the Day of Atonement.
We continue on page 72.
Tefillah
Our service continues on page 74.
God who is ours, God of all generations, to you we are grateful forever. Rock and protector of our lives, your saving power endures from age to age. We thank you and tell the tale of your praise, your power in our lives, your caring for our souls, the constant miracle of your kindness. Morning, noon, and night we call you goodness, for your compassion never ends. We call you mercy, for your love has no limit. We call you hope, now and for all time. We continue on page 76. And for all these gifts, God of majesty, may your name come to be blessed and praised, our gratitude a daily offering until the end of time. Inscribe your covenant partners for a life of goodness, and may all life resound with gratitude and faith in praise of your name. God, you free us and strengthen us. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha uha me'ad l'adot. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose goodness deserves thanks and praise. We continue on page 78. Peace, profound and lasting, all-embracing. Peace, let this be your gift to Israel, your people. In your goodness, author of peace, bless us and all your people, every season, every hour, with the peace that is yours to give. Let us and the whole family of Israel be remembered and inscribed in the book of life. May it be a life of goodness, blessing, and prosperity. May it be a life of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, Oseh HaShalom. You are the blessed one, the eternal one, source of salvation. Source of shalom, sorry.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Tasim Shalom אתה אדוני עושה השלום.
Our prayers for shalom, for peace, extend not only to our community, our nation, and all the world, but also to individuals whose sense of shalom, sense of peace and well-being, has been disturbed, perhaps even shattered by the challenges that they are facing. In a moment, our cantor and choir will lead us in the Misha Berach, our prayers for wholeness and healing. And I will invite you in just a moment before that to share aloud the name of a loved one who is in need of such prayers of healing and return to wholeness. That way we might bring them here into this space and into our hearts at this time. May all who are facing such challenges to their health and their well-being, their bodies and their minds, may they be blessed on a journey that will bring them to the shalom that they desire, the wholeness that they seek. Baruch atah Adonai Rofei HaCholim. We praise you, O God, who helps us bring hope and healing to those who are in need. And let us say, Amen. I invite you to share aloud the name of one who is in need of such prayers for healing and for wholeness. We come to that part in our worship service when we pause from the reading of the words on our page so that we might instead have an opportunity to listen to the words of our hearts, the melodies of our souls. To bring us into this time of quietude and reflection, I shared this thought. The hardest part of living is the people we encounter during our journey. So, Avinu Malkeinu, I pray, help me face those I meet without resentment or disappointment. Help me to see the pain behind their actions, rather than ascribing it to some malice against me. Help me, O God, to see their suffering rather than my own anger. And in myself, as I struggle with my biggest enemy, me, give me the strength. Give me the strength, O God, to quiet my racing heart. And strengthen in me empathy, so that I might act out of gratitude instead of need. Remind me, O God, remind me that each and every time I close my heart to another, each and every time I avert my eyes from one who is suffering, I am adding and increasing the darkness that is engulfing this world and the people that I love. Oh God, help me to always lead with kindness. And so we pause. Our service continues on page 83. When I was young and learned the alphabet, life was open to me. A was full of aspiration, B was for beauty, C for confidence, and D for dreams. And so on through the list. No fewer than 26. 26 opportunities, 26 possibilities. And yet I fear that with the passage of time, I have squandered them, creating instead A's of apathy, B's of brusqueness, C's of coarseness. Help me then, help me to return to that innocence, to the letters, let the letters be letters once again, and let them rise to the heavens and form into the words that you know I wish to say. On page 82, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, our God and God of all generations. May our prayers reach your presence, and when we turn to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, we are sometimes arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free of sin. And truth, on this night, we admit that we have stumbled and we have strayed. We have done wrong. I invite us to rise as we are able. As we read together at the bottom of the page, of these wrongs we are guilty. We betray, we steal, we scorn. We act perversely, we are cruel. We scheme, we are violent. We slander, we devise evil, we lie. We ridicule, we disobey. We abuse, we defy. We corrupt, we commit crimes. We are hostile, we are stubborn, we are immoral. We kill, we spoil, we go astray. We lead others astray.
Ay, 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 Hashamnu, Hashamnu, Bagadnu, Bagadnu, Gazanu, Gazanu, Dibarnu Dofi, Dibarnu Dofi, ay, 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 Hevinu, Hevinu, Vehirshanu, Vehirshanu, Zadnu, Zadnu, Chamasnu, Chamasnu, Tafanu Shaker, Tafanu Shaker, ay, 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 Ya'atnura, Ya'atnura, Kizavnu, Kizavnu, Latnu, Latnu, Maradnu, Maradnu, Niyatnu, Niyatnu, Sararnu, Sararnu, Avinu, Avinu, Pashanu, Pashanu, Tsararnu, Tsararnu, Kishinu Oref, Kishinu Oref, Rashanu, Shichatnu, Tiavnu, Ta'inu, Titanu.
Continue on page 84. Our turning away from your mitzvot and laws of goodness is a hollow pursuit. You are just concerning all that happens in our lives. Your way is the way of truth, while ours often leads to error. What can we say to you whose existence is beyond time and space? What words of ours can reach your realm beyond the clouds, beyond heaven itself? Every hidden mystery, every revelation, surely you know them all. You know the secrets of the universe and the secrets of our human hearts. You know and understand us, for you examine our inner lives. Nothing is concealed from you, nothing hidden from your sight. Eternal One, our God and God of our ancestors, we pray that this be your will. Forgive all our wrongs. Pardon us for every act of injustice, and help us atone for our moral failures. We continue on page 86. As we read responsively the Hebrew followed by the English. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bezadun uvishgagav, al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'dibur peh. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha be'imutz halev, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'tipush peh. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bechachash u'vislachav, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha birchilut. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha biflilut, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'zilzul horim umorim. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'fidui peh, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'hona'at re'ah. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'chozek yad, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'masar u'v'matan. V'al kulam Eloha slichot, slach lanu, machal lanu, kaper lanu. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha begalui uvasater, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha bifrikat ol. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha begilui arayot, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'ma'achal u'b'mashteh. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'yitzer hara, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'noshech u'b'marbit. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'latzon, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'nitiyat garon. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'sinat chinam, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'tum'at svatayim. Al chet shachatanu lefanecha belashon hara, ve'al chet shachatanu lefanecha betzarut ayin. V'al kulam Eloha slichot, slach lanu, machal lanu, kaper lanu.
For all these failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement.
We may be seated. Our service continues on page 99. Will you hear my voice, you who are far away from me? Will you hear my voice wherever you are? A voice calling aloud, a voice silently weeping, endlessly demanding a blessing. This busy world is vast, and its ways are many. Paths meet for a moment, then part forever. We go on searching, but our feet stumble. We cannot find that which we have lost. Perhaps my last day is already drawing near. Drawing close are the tears of parting. I will wait. I will wait for you till my days flicker out, like Rachel, waiting for her beloved.
Oh
Our service continues on page 100. God of forgiveness, we come before you in need of compassion. At Sinai, you spoke words that guide our lives to this day. But our ancestors lost faith in you, lost hope in their Redeemer. With one voice, they had promised, "We will do and obey." And yet, stiff-necked, they broke their word, adoring an idol of gold. How wondrous your compassion in the face of their rebellion, your forgiveness in that moment of human weakness and doubt. We, too, have broken promises to you. We, too, have worshipped the work of our own hands. We, too, have made a gold a god. And we, too, forsake your word. At Sinai, you revealed 13 attributes of mercy, these aspects of your nature, your very essence, we now recall. Adonai, Adonai el rachum v'chanun, erech apayim, v'rav chesed v'emet, notzer chesed la'alafim, noseh avon v'fasha v'chata'a v'nakeh. Adonai, Adonai, God, compassionate, gracious, endlessly patient, loving, and true, showing mercy to the 1,000th generation, forgiving evil, defiance, and wrongdoing, and granting pardon. Our service continues on page 108. If I could see God's face within my heart, I'd see the face of a gardener, compassionate to weed and flower alike, patiently pruning, graciously planting, loving the endless hours of tending and nurturing the earth, seeds, roots, all that grows, and true to the essence of the gardener's work, forgiving the fallen branches, the withered petals, the cracked stones, the broken stems. If I could see God's face within my heart, I'd see the human face in 1,000 acts of mercy, the one who gives bread to the hungry and shelters the lost, who hears the voice of grief and makes room for the stranger, who brings relief to the blind, the bent, the unjustly imprisoned, and is true to the essence of holy work, defying evil, healing brokenness, easing pain, and in the end, forgiving ourselves as God forgives us. We continue on page 112. As I invite us to rise as we are able. Avinu Malkeinu ha'er lanu et derech hayim. Avinu Malkeinu, illumine for us the path of our life. Avinu Malkeinu, how shall we find the strength to take the road less traveled by? Avinu Malkeinu, how shall we come to know the purpose of our existence? Avinu Malkeinu, how shall we learn not to live life in vain? Avinu Malkeinu, how shall we get out of our indifference? Avinu Malkeinu, how shall we distinguish between truth and falsehood? Avinu Malkeinu, how shall we find the answers to our questions? Avinu Malkeinu, how shall we gird ourselves with strength to seek answers? Avinu Malkeinu, chonenu va'anenu, chazakenu va'ametznu. Avinu Malkeinu, be gracious to us, answer us, empower us, and give us courage. For the answers are both in you and with you. We continue on page 114.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu
We continue on page 115 responsively. Avinu Malkeinu na al tashivenu rekam milfanecha. Avinu Malkeinu kabel barachamim uvratzon et tefilatinu. Avinu Malkeinu aseh imanu lema'an shemecha. Avinu Malkeinu aseh lema'ancha im lo lema'anenu. Avinu Malkeinu ein lanu melech ele ata. Avinu Malkeinu patach sha'arei shamayim litfilatinu. Avinu Malkeinu shema kolenu chus v'rachem aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu chonenu va'anenu ki ein banu ma'asim aseh imanu tzedaka v'chesed v'hoshienu. We may be seated. Dr. Irwin, Cantor, Choir, thank you very, very much. And Diana, it's a pleasure to welcome you back to our bima and to hear the cello again. Thank you very much. Dina, a pleasure to share with the executive officers the bima as well. Glad you were brave enough to be here. I thought maybe it was the Cantor and I who didn't shower, so thank you. And Alyssa Hess for signing Listen for us this evening. Have you ever sat down to read a book or watch a movie, and in a few pages or in a few moments, accurately predicting the end? Wanting to skip ahead maybe a few pages just to kind of verify it at that time. It happened to the Cantor and I many years ago. We were watching Gosford Park, this wonderful sort of mystery. I guess it would be Downton Abbey meets Agatha Christie kind of thing. And 15 minutes into it, we both looked at each other and said, wouldn't it be neat if it turned out that that guy was really that guy's, the victim's illegitimate son, and no one knew about it? And then we had to wait the whole hour and a half to get to the end of the movie to find out that the victim was indeed murdered by his illegitimate son that no one knew about. Sometimes it would be nice to flip ahead a few pages or to fast forward, but this was before DVRs, and so this was, live on HBO. You couldn't fast forward. So we had to deal with it and get to the end of it and look at each other and go, well, that was anticlimactic. Indeed, sometimes in life, it would be nice to be able to flip ahead a few pages. Like this sermon, it might be nice to flip ahead a few pages. see where the rabbi's going with this, see how it ends. On a personal level, when faced with a health challenge, it might be nice to flip ahead a few pages to see how is this going to turn out. It might be nice to flip ahead a few pages if we are laid off from our job or if there is a downturn in our employment for whatever reason, to flip ahead a few pages to try to find out how is this going to end. Also, even on a larger level, November 28th, 1947. Wouldn't it have been wonderful if the Zionists could have flipped ahead a few pages to see how the vote on partition was going to go, and how it was going to end up? Or April 19th, 1775. George Washington, I'm sure, would have loved to have flipped ahead a few pages to see how the battles of Lexington and Concord were going to turn out, and what would happen with the country that he was about to found. And indeed, when Moses is on Mount Sinai receiving the Torah, wouldn't it be nice to find out what happens with this Torah, what happens with this people, especially since he's not going to lead us into the promised land? What a great opportunity to flip ahead a few pages. Well, just such a thing happened for Moses. He wanted to see what would happen with Torah. And in truly anticipating Twilight Zone or the dark mirror, our rabbis created this wonderful midrash where Moses is teleported through time to Rabbi Akiva's seminary. It is now the 1st, 2nd century CE. Moses is in the back. Students are there quizzing Rabbi Akiva, one of our greatest rabbis. This is the rabbi who laid the foundations for what would later become the Mishnah, which later becomes Jewish tradition. He's the one who got it going. Rabbi Judah Hanassi just completed the process that Rabbi Akiva had started. Rabbi Akiva, who is credited with boiling down 613 mitzvot into one. One simple mitzvah. This is it. What a genius to be able to take 613, distill it down to one, and it is V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself. That's it. That's it. That's all Rabbi Akiva. That's all we've got to do. This great rabbi, influential rabbi, Moses is sitting in the back, and he doesn't understand anything that is going on. He understands the words. He doesn't understand the discussion, what they're talking about. What is this all about? He doesn't get any of it. He is now deeply, deeply frustrated and reminiscent of, such tales as, the Christmas stories and, being visited from ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future. So here's Moses in a future setting. He doesn't understand anything that's going on. He says, that's it. I want to go home. I want to go back. And then a student asks Rabbi Akiva, but where? Where is the authority for that interpretation? How do we know that that's what this law is talking about? Rabbi Akiva says, because we got this from Moses on Mount Sinai. Moses feels so much better. He says to God, wow, okay, wonderful. So what happens to this great Rabbi Akiva? What happens to him? So Moses is teleported just a little bit further down the timeline. And there he is in the square, in the plaza. Romans have gathered. Roman centurions are there, whips with iron claws, and they are executing Rabbi Akiva by tearing the flesh off of him. Moses says, this is Torah, and this is its reward? And God remains silent. The rabbis of the Talmud who create this story already knew of the end of Rabbi Akiva. They knew how Rabbi Akiva was executed. As they created this story, they knew what was going to happen to him. And yet in the Talmud, there is no call by the rabbis for retribution, for revenge, or for justice against Rome. I am deeply puzzled by this. This Rabbi Akiva truly was one of our greatest rabbis. And he and a number of other rabbis are executed by Rome over a horrific period of time. And the rabbis of the Talmud never vent any anger. They never call for, let us overthrow Rome, let's turn this around. There's no condemnation. Is it because the rabbis are such pacifists that they don't even value human life, even one of their own? No, these rabbis are the ones who taught us. One who destroys a single human being, it is as if you have destroyed an entire world. And one who saves a single human being saves an entire world. Were these rabbis such fatalists that they figured nothing matters and it's all in the hands of something, chaos, and this stuff happens? No, because these are the same rabbis who taught us all about human free will. They are the ones who helped transform Judaism so that we would understand that we are not God's puppets. We have free will to act and to make a choice. So what then? What enabled these rabbis to not be filled with such anger and resentment over the martyrdom, the murder of one of their own, and indeed one of the greatest rabbis? There's a blessing, we say, and there's a response that we say that I think is part of the mindset of our rabbis and maybe something worth considering for us. The blessing goes, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah temet v'chayei olam nata betochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. And everybody says, Amen. Amen. I believe, I assert what you have just said. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, source of all being, who has given us a Torah of truth and who has implanted immortal life within us. Blessed are you, Adonai, for giving us the Torah and for implanting immortal life within us. And we all say amen to that blessing. Now, popular culture presents us a really simplified view of heaven and hell. You know, heaven, hell. Oh, we Jews, the good thing about Judaism is we don't have hell. There is no hell in Judaism. There is heaven, yes, there is paradise, yes, there is life after death, but there's no hell. And so if all human beings have immortal life, and all human beings are destined for the world to come, which is supposed to be a perfect existence, how do we balance and rectify that? Another verse from Torah for us. Tzedek, tzedek tirdof, justice, justice you shall pursue. Our rabbis explain Torah doesn't repeat itself, and so when we have tzedek, tzedek, justice, justice right next to each other, it's here to teach us a lesson. One of the lessons are we have to use just means to achieve just ends. Justice, justice. The symbol and representation of justice is a scale. Justice, justice. It's got to be balanced on both sides. Justice, justice. Tzedek, tzedek, tirdof, you will pursue justice in this world and justice in the world to come. Justice in the world to come? How is that? I mean, look, let's be honest. When it comes to divine punishment, I want Adolf Hitler, Eichmann, the pilots of the planes who crashed into the world towers, Osama bin Laden, I want them to rot in Dante's 7th level of hell. That's where I want them to be. But we're Jews. We don't believe in hell. So how is there going to be justice in this world? How is there going to be justice in the next world? Our rabbis teach us through accountability. We are all going to be held accountable for everything we did and did not do in this world. The methods of accountability, these are teachings. Our rabbis envisioned it as a courtroom setting. There you are, Adolf Hitler's in the witness box, and every person who died because of his actions gets to confront him and tell him their life's story. What happened, how it happened, what I was hoping to do, what you did to make that not possible one-on-one. A lengthy conversation would probably last, who knows, maybe even eternity. But we live in modern times. We're used to the twilight zone. We're used to the dark mirror. And so others have taught, for the moment of being wronged, our consciousness will merge with the consciousness of the one who's been wronged. And in that process, fully aware that we are the one causing this pain to this other human being, we will experience in the first person what the individual we've wronged is experiencing. Now we're talking a little bit more of justice. Because in this world, let's face it, the justice we have is basically punitive. It's punishment. You go to prison or you get executed. This is the punishment here. And that balances the scales, at least as far as our society goes. But for the individuals who's been wronged, and so our rabbis envision this time, before we get into the world to come, there is going to be this accounting where I am going to merge with those that I have wronged, and I am going to experience what they experienced. Ooh, now we're talking. Hitler, Eichmann, all of them being gassed, shot, tortured, whatever, millions and millions of times. Ooh. The pilots of the airplanes that crashed into the trade towers. They're going to perish 3,000 plus times, plus all the other lives that have been affected. Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs, in his Covenant and Conversation presentations lectures, notes that there's been a lot of very fascinating research in diverse fields from moral philosophy, evolutionary psychology, games theory, environmental ethics. And in all of these tests, they were exploring people's attitudes with regards to forgiveness. And what came out from a lot of these studies is the following. The more that we believe in a God that punishes the guilty, the more forgiving we become. The less we believe that God punishes the guilty, the more resentful and the more punitive we become. Now, this is counterintuitive. The more that we believe that God is going to hold the guilty accountable for their actions, the more that we believe that, the more forgiving we become. And if we believe that God is not going to hold the guilty accountable, that there is no accountability, then the more resentful and the more punitive we become. We have all seen the wicked prosper. We're all aware of this reality in life. Job captured it. We are aware of it. The more that we believe that God is also going to be involved in this justice, the less bitter we are going to become. I don't know if I can stand here and tell you that I believe this 100%. Okay? And come on, some of you are thinking, Rabbi, this is all very nice, but come on, life after death, this was a Baba Misa so that people wouldn't be afraid to die. But this is Judaism's gift to the world. Before Judaism, only kings and pharaohs had life after death. We peasants, we died. Judaism comes along and teaches every human being has a soul. Every human being has immortal life. So many teachings of Judaism have been proven true over the centuries. From the creation of the world, yes, that's in the Torah. Evolution, in the Torah. All of these things are here for us. The equality of the genders in the Torah. Our morality, our ethics, so many things about Judaism have been proven true. Maybe this might be true as well. Others are saying, well, regardless of what Judaism teaches, I don't believe that there's life after death. This is it, one shot. That's it. We're done. And all I'm suggesting is, why not allow the possibility? I know this much. When I think of the cruel things that human beings have done to other human beings, when I think of abusive spouses, when I think of murderers and rapists, when I think of terrorists, I get viscerally angry. But I find myself less angry if I contemplate the fact that God is going to hold them accountable, that there will be a reckoning, that they think they may have gotten away with a light punishment, a slap on the wrist, or died for a cause. Judaism teaches me no, they haven't gotten away with anything. And every person that they have hurt and every life that they have taken, they are going to experience firsthand, in person. When I think about that, I am less angry. I find myself looking at life a little bit differently. Our rabbis taught this thousands of years ago. Maybe there's great wisdom in this. And maybe that's why when they saw one of their own brutally slain by the Romans, they did not call out for revenge, for revolt, or death to Rome. Because they knew. They knew that that centurion, they knew that the Roman emperor was going to experience the death that they have inflicted in this world. And therefore they face that situation with confidence that there will yet be justice. Tzedek, tzedek, tirdof. Justice, justice shall you pursue. Justice in this world, balancing the scales as best as we are able. Justice in the world to come, where the individuals will experience the pain and the suffering that they have caused to another. Beautiful, Diana. Thank you. Thank you. Morning services begin tomorrow at 9 o'clock for families with young children. 10 o'clock, our service. There'll be a discussion following the morning service. The discussion is going to look at truth, at debates, at perceptions of truth, and how we can learn to discuss controversial things together. We're going to explore Judaism's teachings on the appropriateness of, yes, having differing opinions, but being able to express them in ways that allow us both to grow to a greater understanding of truth. And then, of course, all the way through to break the fast tomorrow. We turn in our prayer books, and our machzorim rather, to page 116. As we move to the conclusion of our worship service with the words of the Aleinu, I invite us to rise as we are able for our adoration on page 116. Continue on page 119. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding. Loved, each of us, for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace. We continue on page 121. This holy night concludes with memory. Our last thoughts always are of those who have died. We miss them, especially tonight, yearning for their presence at our side. The service we have shared once was theirs. They spoke and sang the ancient words. They prayed, repented, and yearned for better lives as we have done. Flawed in their deeds, imperfect in their faith, they still drew strength from their tradition as we seek fortitude in ours. What was good and beautiful in their lives once gave us joy. and now inspires us to reach higher. The knowledge that they loved us deeply brings comfort to our hearts, so we light candles of remembrance and gratitude, and we speak this timeless phrase and truth, Zichronam Livracha. Their memory is a blessing now and forever. We pray that their goodness will live on in our lives, planting seeds of kindness and hope for generations to come. The words to our Kaddish can be found on the next page, 122, as we call to mind those for whom we are observing the Shloshim, the 30-day period since their death. Don Kessler, husband of Joyce Kessler, and Joyce, our hearts go out to you. Paula Marcus, sister of Eddie Goldstein, and Eddie, our hearts go out to you as well. Eric, Sandra, and Michael Lertzman, son-in-law, daughter, and grandson of Betty Maddock, and Betty, our hearts go out to you. And Catherine Salisbury, the mother of Shaul Salisbury, and Shaul, our hearts go out to you at this time. Zichronam Livracha. May their memories be for a blessing as we share together the words of our Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba. V'yalma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. B'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shemei Rabba mevarach le'olam ulalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'asei shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May all of us who mourn, and all of us who are bereaved, may we find through God's presence a source of strength, courage, hope, above all a source of shalom, of peace. And let us all say, Amen. We conclude our service with a prayer for our way as we move into 5780 this new year. May it be a blessed year for us, and may we be such a blessing to those in need around us. Tefilat HaDerech, a blessing for our way. I invite you to put your arms around the shoulder of someone next to you. Hold the hands of someone who needs to remain seated as we create for ourselves a link of blessing to take us into this year.
May we be blessed.
May we have the strength and the courage to act with justice, with tzedek, and may we have the shalom, the peace of knowing that God as well will bring justice to those who have transgressed against us. Ken yehi ratzonenu, so may it be our will. Good Yontiv, everyone.